Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and here's what's happening. We've got a market that's like literally starting to come up to the tune of, it's crossed $1 trillion, and it's like there's a lot of green that's starting to show up in digital assets because of all this banking crisis and everything. And I want to point out one thing that is irrefutable, and that is that in the coming days, weeks, whatever, there's one digital asset out of this top 10 who is about to come out from under a over 2-year-long SEC lawsuit and actually get clarity for the digital asset, and that is XRP. Every single digital asset on this list, every single digital asset on this list, including Bitcoin. Remember, we know Homeland Security knows who the 4 Satoshis are, which means that they know who the common enterprise is. There is nothing sacred when Gary Gensler's in charge, folks. Every single one of these except XRP. When XRP gets clarity, they all have a potential target on their backs. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD, Cardano, Polygon, Dogecoin, Solana. Every single one of them have a potential target on their backs, and there is only one that does not once they come out from under this. Only one. And that's the fact, Jack. It's a very uncomfortable fact, especially for Bitcoin maxis. But guess what? XRP is also starting to surge here recently. XRP is going to be God's candle. eGrag Crypto is mentioning the God candle. We've seen this before. And I've told you, I don't even know what that means, but I like the sound of it. And it's also a great thumbnail. And then Dark Defender comes in and says, XRP extremely bullish. Let's melt faces with a God candle. So, and I'm not even going to comment on this funny graphic right here. Ashley Prosper makes a good point here. March 21st to 23rd is going to be a very interesting time. ISO 222 goes live, possible Trump arrest. I think I saw them protesting in New York on that. More bank collapses, possible end to Ripple case, Paris Blockchain Week. By the way, at Paris Blockchain Week, there's at least 2 or 3 people from Ripple, including Monica Long, and guess who else is going to be there? Joseph Lubin. I can't wait for him to speak on stage so I can grab more idiotic sound bites. And then FOMC meeting. Now, check this out. Switzerland is preparing to use emergency measures to accelerate the takeover by UBS of Credit Suisse to finalize the acquisition before markets open on Monday. They're scrambling around trying to save this bank. Question is, what other banks are having problems, the ones we don't know about that aren't in the headlines? That's the question. Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, decided to point something else out here. According to reports, the offer made by UBS for Credit Suisse values the bank around $7 billion below its market value at the close of trading on Friday. Speechless. $7 billion, speechless. And then he's pointing out that UBS, 7 leading banks joined Ripple's global network, and UBS was one of them. Then we have a Bitcoin maxi, legendary investor, however you say his name, places a $2 million bet on Bitcoin to go to $1 million in the next 90 days, folks. 90 days. That'll be interesting. Now, here's something that the Bitcoin maxis are waking up to, folks. This is Ryan Selkis. He blocked me back when I plopped down the Ethereum disguised whales underneath him and asked him what about the disguised whales. Because I'm sure if I had to bet, I don't know, but if I had to bet, he was probably somewhere in that Ethereum ICO as a purchaser. I'm just guessing. He says Congress should. This guy's scared, folks. He's also connected, so he probably has heard something or knows something. He says, Congress should oppose any and all efforts to ban or restrict the use or personal possession of Bitcoin and other digital assets. Oppose any and all efforts to unfairly target or impede the development, accessibility, and security of Bitcoin and other digital asset tech. I thought the whole thing about Bitcoin was that nobody could do anything. Down with the banks, and they can't do anything to Bitcoin because it's this thing that's out there, and they can't control it. I thought that was the whole point. Well, apparently he doesn't think so anymore, because he says there are a lot of Americans who would like Congress to explicitly guarantee that it is illegal for the executive branch to seize Bitcoin, gold, and other commodities, and other financial property without due process. I am no longer confident private property seizures are impossible. Well, if you've been watching the current government, how could you possibly have ever thought that they were above private property seizures? And I said, it doesn't matter if you control your private keys. Look, I've been saying this for a long time, and I've caught a lot of heat for it. And what I said was, the real question about all of this, in the end, is, are we allowed to keep it? And what I meant by that is not that they can come and take my XRP, not that they can come and take your Bitcoin, because if you control your private keys, yeah, technically they can't get your stuff. Yes, true. But as I say here, if a tyrannical government decides you can't have an asset, there are many ways to make you part with it or make it not worth having. He knows the end game question has always been, will we be allowed to keep it, or at least be rewarded for being right? And that's what I say, folks. And I truly believe that the bad guys that are trying, these tyrannical people, I believe that they in the end will be defeated. And it'll be, the way I look at it is the same thing you hear about guns, cold dead hands. That's kind of how I feel about my XRP, and you probably do too. So, but here he says something again. Look at this. There's no scenario in which I would comply with a redux of Executive Order 6102, the gold seizures. But by saying this, he's acknowledging that we weren't so crazy after all about this idea that they could try to make you turn in your crypto. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time, and it makes people mad every time it comes up. But I don't think that they can like take it if you don't want them to have it. But I think they can make it. And I've used the example of taxation. They could come out tomorrow and say, well, Bitcoin is taxed at a rate of 99.9%. So at that point, is it worth it for you to even own it? And the answer is no. There's all kinds of things a tyrannical government can do to make you not want to have your Bitcoin and make you turn it in or whatever. I said, Congress should make Bitcoin ownership and self-custody an explicit right to prevent more dystopian executive overreach. I'll give you another one. What if these anti-crypto people said to you, hey, yeah, you own your own keys and all that. What if they said, if you don't turn in your Bitcoin to an exchange to turn it into US dollars by such and such date, then we're going to increase the tax rate to whatever, 99.9%. So if you get out now, we're going to give you until such and such date. What if they did that? What if they said, yeah, you can make your money. If you turn it in now, you can make your money on it and sell it. But if you don't, after such and such date, any Bitcoin that shows up to be sold is taxed at a rate of 99.9%. I guarantee you, everybody out there who thought that they were down with the banks would all of a sudden be out of this thing. And there would be a collapse that happened at the same time. Now, who called this? Kendra Hill, the person that disappeared off of social media, called this. I've shown you this many times. Cryptocurrency will be made illegal, allowing additional currencies to exist. Bitcoin, for example, is untouchable. The reality is that the government controlled through the use of mining pools. Now, folks, what else did Kendra Hill say? It's important to me because is it a coincidence that there's only one digital asset in all of crypto that potentially gets clarity within potentially days? There's only one. And guess what? Not only is there only one, but that one Other digital assets could be built on it, and are. CBDCs can be built on it. NFTs can be built on it. All these things, tokenized assets, could be done on it. And that is the XRP ledger, folks. Look what else, as long as Kendra Hill was right, let's look what else she said. It's always worth remembering. In the deal, which was negotiated in 2015, Amazon holds a stake in 5 billion XRP. Currently, that XRP is in a locked account until the partnership is made public. Why has this been kept secret? And she goes through a whole thing about why this has been kept secret. Well, here's my question to you. Why is Amazon launching an NFT marketplace on the 24th of April, and how are they launching it? In the midst of this government crackdown on crypto, why is Amazon comfortable launching an NFT marketplace that has to be built on a digital asset? Why are they comfortable doing this? Because there would potentially, why is the SEC not cracking down on Amazon with this marketplace they're about to launch? Or, they preemptively threatened Coinbase about the Coinbase yield product. Why are they not preemptively threatening Amazon? We don't know. Here's Brian Brooks, who used to run the OCC.
I think it's pretty clear there has been a decision across the bank regulatory agencies in this administration that crypto is inherently risky and needs to be extricated from the banking system. The way the bank regulators work is that they are highly coordinated. I mean, when I was running the OCC, I had a weekly call with the FDIC chairman and with the vice chairman of the Fed for bank supervision. We talked every week for an hour and talked about what our priorities were for the coming week, how we could support each other, how our actions would affect the system. So these things are not accidents at all. I'm highly confident of that. I think it's pretty clear there has been a decision.
Remember the literal communist who Joe Biden was trying to put in at the OCC, and luckily she didn't get in there. Imagine what it would be like if she was there. Now, here's these are the bankless guys who they don't want there to be banks, and yet here in this clip they're kind of almost giddy that USDC, and remember, USDC is the banks, folks. The Goldman Sachs is behind USDC, behind Circle is Goldman Sachs.
Now I'm seeing sort of the end state vision. And I'm almost wondering if that end state vision for Circle and USDC is something like a proxy central bank digital currency.
You think?
Okay. Like, I know we're steps before that here, and maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself, but it just feels like that vision of like USDC shouldn't have commercial bank, I'll call it protocol risk because we have crypto listed here. It should just be one-to-one with the T-bill. It shouldn't take any risk of the banking sector.
Or literally the central bank liability itself, right?
Well, my question is, I see that, you see that, a lot of people in crypto see that. We also see a complete absence of a U.S. central bank digital currency strategy, even though they're writing white papers on it all the time. China's like miles ahead of the U.S. They need a strategy. They may not know it yet. Will these events precipitate that conversation? Could it actually move forward in that direction and actually be a kind of a growth catalyst to get us there faster?
And this guy makes a great comment. This show is called Bankless, but apparently central banks don't count as banks to these guys. These guys, that's fantasy land, even calling your show Bankless. And I think those guys are smart young guys, but fantasy land, Bankless, whatever. I'll never forget it when I was standing at Bitcoin Miami and freaking Chris Giancarlo, who used to run the CFTC, looks up on the wall and they've got it's like a dollar bill that's being burned or something. It's like some picture on the wall, and he's like, they need to take that down. That's not good. Dan Held, who's a Bitcoin maxi, says altcoins waiting to see what Bitcoin will do next. And he's got Forrest Gump here. And I retweeted, I said, Bitcoiners, when they find out the government created it. It was more like, now, John Deaton did a whole thread on how the Hinman emails are going to come out one way or another. And one thing, and he's talking about this, and he has a good thread on this. But I wanted to point out something a lot of people are not talking about and thinking about, and that's this. When these Hinman documents come out, even more important than I told John Deaton this a long time ago too. I said, the legal stuff is one thing, but I believe almost more important is the perception and the PR. Look what happened in ETHgate. It was a freaking nightmare. Ethereum is literally on a different course now because of the exposure of ETHgate and social media and all the lies and all the behind the scenes things that were done and all the coordinated FUD against Ripple and XRP that had to do with it too. It was a freaking nightmare for them. Now you telling me when these documents come out, think about the social media storm/investigation that's going to follow when we start piecing together the breadcrumbs and actually have the information and actually what we know went on behind the scenes, but then we'll have what all the individual people said that were on that Freedom of Information Act list that Empower had gotten, the people that communicated with Bill Hinman. Can you imagine the things that were being said in those email chains? Think about what we found think about what we found, and the people involved in the timeline and all that. When that comes out, it will be a freaking nightmare for these people while they try to go after all these companies and the truth is being pointed out and all the lies will be exposed. Oh my gosh. And remember, last time it was just the XRP community. We weren't supported by anybody in crypto while we were uncovering all of that stuff. This time it would be everybody because everybody is under attack at this point by the SEC. This time you'd have everybody in social media, everybody in crypto exposing the lies. And then maybe one day they'll throw a party for us and thank us because we're the ones that found all this stuff while they sat on their hands and they thought it was just XRP under attack. Well, you're welcome, folks, because this is going to be a storm and it might just help a lot of the people who are under attack right now. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family, or tell your Bitcoin maxi and Ethereum maxi, or not Ethereum, but Bitcoin maxi and all the other crypto people under attack. Tell them you're welcome.